Acts 26, 1-11, a defense rooted in promise and fulfillment. The scene opens with the Apostle Paul standing before Herod Agrippa II. Permission is granted for him to speak, and with a stretched out hand he begins, not with apology, but with confidence. His words are not crafted merely to defend himself, but to unveil the continuity between the ancient hope of Israel and its realized fulfillment. Paul acknowledges Agrippa's familiarity with Jewish customs and controversies. This is not a casual remark. It is foundational. The matter at hand is not foreign, nor is it detached from Israel's own scriptures. What Paul proclaims is deeply rooted in the shared expectation of the nation. His life, from youth, was lived among his own people, known to all. As a Pharisee, he walked according to the strictest sect of their religion. His former zeal was not ignorance of the law, but devotion to it. Yet now he stands accused, not for abandoning that hope, but for affirming its fulfillment. At the heart of his defense is the hope of the promise made by God to our fathers. This promise, long anticipated, was the anchor of the 12 tribes, who earnestly served God day and night. The expectation was not vague or distant. It was specific, covenantal, and nearing its appointed time. Paul declares that it is for this hope that he is judged. The question he raises is piercing. Why should it be thought incredible that God raises the dead? This is not a philosophical inquiry, but a covenantal one. The resurrection was bound to the promise, God's faithfulness to bring life where death had reigned, to restore what had been cut off, and to consummate what had been spoken through the prophets. Paul then recounts his former opposition. He had been convinced that he ought to do many things contrary to the name of Jesus of Nazareth. This was not passive resistance. It was active persecution. In Jerusalem, he imprisoned saints, cast his vote against them when they were put to death, and punished them in synagogues, compelling them to blaspheme. His fury extended even to foreign cities. This history serves a purpose. It reveals that his present testimony is not the result of gradual persuasion or philosophical evolution. It marks a decisive transformation, one that corresponds with the very fulfillment he now proclaims. The narrative up to this point establishes a crucial truth. The message Paul carries not a departure from Israel's hope, but its realization. The promise made to the fathers had reached its appointed climax. What was long anticipated had entered into fulfillment, and this fulfillment stood at the center of the controversy. Thus, Paul's chains are not evidence of error, but of transition, the closing of one age and the manifestation of what had been promised. The hope of Israel was no longer confined to expectation. It had been brought into reality. The resurrection, once anticipated as a future vindication, had become the defining marker of that fulfilled promise. In this defense, the emphasis rests not on human striving, but on divine accomplishment. The promise originates with God, is sustained by God, and is brought to completion by God. The testimony Paul gives is therefore not about what man must do, but about what God has done, bringing to pass what had been spoken from the beginning. And so before Agrippa, Paul stands as both witness and evidence. A life once aligned with the old order, now transformed in light of its fulfillment, declaring that the hope of Israel has reached its appointed end.